Welcome to Moody Talk Sports. So great to be here with you on a Friday. Let's go ahead and dive into where I have to eat some crow. So yesterday, I was 0 for 3 on my bets. Not a great start to the season. I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. That's usually how it goes for me. These were my 3 bets, as you can see. I had the Bills covering, and I had Tyreek over on yards and over on receptions. He was very, very close. That was not for a lack of trying. There was multiple times where they threw to him. He had 10 targets in total, so easily could have hit. It just didn't. Miami's offense looked really rough. We'll talk about that just in a second. But I do want to give some credit to Miami to start out the show here. I had really hoped it was going to be a great game. I had hoped Miami was going to, keep their head in it. It's a divisional game. Those are usually tough. Buffalo's been playing out of their mind lately. But here's the problem. Miami actually held really, really well with Buffalo all the way until the end. They fought. They were in it. Heck, there was a chance they were going to tie it. There was a chance it could go into overtime. But then Tua happened. Well, a couple things happened. Tua happened, but also there was a special teams ridiculous penalty that I'm still shaking my head over. I'm sure you saw it. But I do want to talk about that Tua interception, because that interception from Tua is the exact reason I have been so out on him for so long. And I have nothing against Tua personally, of course. This is just from a sports view. This is just him as a quarterback critiquing his position, not as a man. As a man, I hear he's a man of faith and a great family man. God bless him. Seriously. However, when it comes to being the quarterback, he's making $50 million a year. The first thing I want to talk about before I even get into any of this is let's look at his salary. This is his salary for the next few years, and right now the cap hit's only $39 million this year, but next year it goes up to $56, and then the following year $53, and then the following final year, which I'm sure that could get moved around. Usually those final years are kind of not fake years, but they can be kind of manipulated. $65 million. That's a huge cap hit for a guy who just put up 150 yards in the air. A guy who, when the crunch time came, and it was time for the clutch moment, you're on the road, your divisional opponent, you're marching down the field. Tua had a moment where legit, I always tease and make this joke, but this is what it feels like. It's almost like Tua threw the ball, the Bills defender caught it, he starts cheering, yeah, and then he has to look down at his jersey and he realizes, oh, I'm green. I'm white and green. I forgot. That's how bad it was. The Bills defender hit him right in the chest. It was one of the easiest catches I've ever seen. Now, great play by the Bills defender. He read it perfectly. I know it wasn't just him standing out in the middle of nowhere. But when you're making $50 million a year, this is why a few years ago when there was all that debate about do you give him the contract, do you extend him, do you give him that type of money, I was like, no, I can't. I just can't. I'm cheap when it comes to quarterbacks, I'll admit that, but there's only so many guys I'm giving $50 to $60 million a year to, and I can count them on one hand. Your Patrick Mahomes, of course you have to. At the time, Joe Burrow I agreed with, but that's slowly kind of starting to trickle. He's getting hurt every year. That money's now looking like it wasn't exactly well spent. I mean, you do have the Super Bowl appearance. But it's just, I'm so skittish on giving a quarterback that type of money, and when it came to Tua, I was just like, there's just no way. The stats aren't there. The stats aren't there. The best season he's had one complete season since he's been here. As you can see from this right here, since Tua's been in the league, he had one season, 2023, where he legit finished the whole season, 4,624 yards, 14 interceptions, but 29, passing touchdowns. That's a pretty darn good season. Now, I still don't think that season's worth $50 million, but it's close. It's a great season, and he went to the playoffs. But that's the only one. How many seasons has he been in here now? 6? This is his 6th season. I don't know. I don't know that it's worth $50 million a year. And now what you've done is you've created this cap hit where you have a quarterback who, yes, very efficient, high completion percentage rate, throws a lot of dink and dunk, but that's going to eat up a good chunk of the cap. It's going to be hard to find players to get around him. There's a lot of talk about Tyreek Hill. Is he going to get traded this season? If the pieces aren't around Tua, I don't know that this team can be successful. And the problem is there are pieces around Tua right now. You can make an argument that there's not enough or whatever, but there's pieces around him right now, and I'm just not seeing it there. They're 0-3. And if you're Miami, I think that's a real concern. penalties wise, all the stats line up as far as what I'm seeing. They held really well. Buffalo was just slightly better, but you can also attribute that to the final drive of the game, running out the clock, whatever you want. But penalties, double the amount of penalties. I talked about it yesterday on the show. There's been a lot of murmur. There's been a lot of articles about the culture that's there, and I'm just not sure, And then it's so funny. I did that show yesterday, and then now I've seen even more come out, and I've seen, there was one meme that was talking about a press conference he did last week, and the words were, Mike McDaniels couldn't even look at the audience. He was looking down, and he was just kind of slurring his words, and it feels like this thing is just going to collapse this year. I really want to root for the Dolphins. I always try to support them, but as I look for the positives in a sea of negativity, it's kind of like searching for Titanic survivors. You know what I mean? If you've ever seen the movie Titanic, you're out in the middle of the dark just screaming, "Hey, is anyone here?" And that's all you're doing. And I think that's where we're at. I think the ship has sunk. It's really rough. Buffalo Bills played tough, did what they need to do, did not play great. It's a shame because Buffalo didn't play that well. I think Miami had a real opportunity to jump in there and possibly steal one, but if you're Buffalo, that's great. If you can come out and not play your best ball, if you can get, a lot of yards on the ground like they did, over 150 yards, team rushing, excellent, awesome, great stuff, really control the game, I think Buffalo's got multiple ways they can beat you. I really do. Would I like to see a little bit more from them? Sure, but it's a long season. We got a long way to go, so I think Buffalo's still in a good spot. Okay, that's my opinion on that. Let's get into some college game day bets. Now, I want to tell you something. You guys are going to see me in a lot of jerseys. I have a lot of jerseys that I don't ever get to wear. I'm going to wear them on camera. I like to do that. It doesn't mean I'm a diehard of that team. I do love college football, but being in Florida, my teams are usually from Florida. That's who I support the most. I like Ohio State. I'm not a big Ohio State guy, so don't get on here and be like, oh, he's an Ohio State guy and leave. Please don't. I'm not diehard. I actually just love the sport. I find it's actually more enjoyable to watch the sport if you don't pick teams you really like, because then you just get angry. But anyway, I just wanted to, that's kind of a disclaimer here. But tomorrow, I'm going to give you my bets for the top 25 team games only. We're going to go through each of them. I'm going to give you just kind of some of my thoughts about why I'm picking what I am. Been doing some research today, and I'm really excited for tomorrow. We've got some great games on the slate. Let's go ahead and dive into those. Looking at the top here, let's start with, of course, now I'm 0 for 1 on my pick'em because I took the Bills and I took them to cover. My total bets, I'm 0 for 3, so not a great start, but that's all right. Tomorrow we're going to bounce back, I hope, or else. Let's start with Texas Tech going to Utah. Neither team has played anyone significant yet. It's going to be interesting to see because I think this game might tell us a little bit more about each team. Utah is at home, so I'm going to give them kind of a little bit benefit here. I think there's going to be a sold-out stadium. I think that will have an effect. The point spread is only 3.5, but because Texas Tech has played so well, I think I'll take the plus 3.5. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be down to the wire, and because it's over a field goal, I'll go ahead and take those points. I'm going to take Texas Tech. Texas Tech has actually thrown for more yards and rushed for more yards due to the quarterback for Utah being great at both. So Utah doesn't have as great of a running game. The quarterback for Utah is kind of doing it all himself. He's the team's leading rusher as well as the team's leading thrower. Neither of those numbers are eye-popping, but he's leading them both, so that's significant. So I think if you just take the quarterback out of it and you focus on that, I think the Red Raiders could have a good game, and I think it could be very close, so I'm taking the 3.5 points. Next up, we have UAB going into Tennessee. I'm never happy about laying 39.5 points, but here's the thing. I like Tennessee a lot. I think they're a fantastic team. I think they're a dark horse to really make it far in the playoffs this year. They're coming off that really heartbreaking Georgia loss that I thought was really in part just because I thought they didn't play to win. I thought they just tried to play to not lose. They get down to, I think it was the second to last drive, Tennessee just run, trying to run the clock out. Well, then Georgia takes it, scores, puts it into overtime. I think they played a little too conservative. I think Tennessee's going to be really still upset and feeling that. I think they're going to come out here against a lesser team, a tomato can, and just try to just unleash and give the fans a really good performance and and hype up the crowd. So I am going to lay the 39.5. I'm not happy about it, but I'm going to do it anyway. All right. Oregon State going into Oregon, 34.5. I'm going to lay those 34.5 because I think Oregon is one of the best teams in the nation. I think that not only do they have one of the fastest, high-flying offenses that's going to get better and better as the year goes on, but I also think their defense is one of the best I've seen them in past years. I love what their defense is doing, very physical, very fast as well. And going in, I mean, Oregon State's one of those divisional games where they're usually pretty tough because both teams hate each other. But I think Oregon is just too good, and I think Oregon State is not as good as I've seen them in the past. I think 34.5. I think this is finally where Oregon puts it all together and actually comes out with a really good victory here. So I'm taking Oregon, and I'm going to lay the points. Oregon State's also very turnover heavy, and the Oregon defense is for real. I expect Oregon to be kind of licking its chops on that. I think there's going to be some turnovers for sure, and I think that's only going to swing the momentum. There's a good chance at halftime Oregon State's like, let's just get out of here. Let's move on. Who we play next week? Who's got dinner plans? Next up, we have Michigan, Nebraska. So this is a really, really interesting game for me. I think Michigan has not played the greatest to start, but I think Michigan's got some serious potential here. I think they are still a little underrated. I think some people have given up on them. It's only a 2.5 point spread. Michigan minus 2.5. I'm going to go ahead and eat the 2.5. I think Michigan comes out winning here, but I expect it to be a really, really tough game. Nebraska is at home, but I feel like for Michigan, this is a must-win. I feel like you have to win this game. Michigan's going to have a tough schedule this year. They're going to have to play Ohio State later in the year. I think that these type of games, if you don't win these types of games, you have zero chance of getting in the playoffs. You have zero chance of really getting into a high-end bowl game. I just don't think it's going to be a good shot for them. So, I mean, you've got to win this game. Get out there, get what needs to be done, get it done, let your defense eat, come away with a victory. That's why I'm going to lay those 2.5. Next up, we have Kent State at Florida State. So, Florida State's been playing really well. The Seminoles have been awesome. And that's great because the last couple of years have been really, really rough if you're a Seminoles fan. Like, it just kind of came out of nowhere. They had high expectations. They've kind of been ranked before, in preseason polls, and then they just come out and they're like 3-11, it feels like. But this year, they come out with that win against Alabama. They're feeling themselves. They're physical. They're tough. They play hard. They're fun to watch. If you haven't seen a game yet, they're fun. Every guy feels like they're giving 100% effort. I love to see that. Here's the problem, though. I have a personal rule with myself, and I can't lay 44.5 points. I just can't do it. If it's over 40, I have to take the points. And it's one of those things where if I lose, that's fine. I'm fine losing that bet, but I can't in good conscience lay that type of points. And you know what I mean? I just can't. So Kent State, I think easily this could be like a 50-10 type of game, but even that wouldn't cover the spread. So I got to go with Kent State plus the 44.5, and if I'm wrong, I won't be surprised. When it comes to, I do think that Florida State could take a quarter to get back up to speed since they had last week off, so I think that also might attribute to the score and covering the point spread. But other than that, Florida State's the real deal, and they could make a serious push in the playoff if they keep playing like they are. So good to see. Tulane going into Ole Miss. Ole Miss minus 12.5. I am going to lay those 12.5 points. I don't like the spread here. It's actually, the line's perfect. Ole Miss has faced some tougher competition. They're being at home, though. I think that they are going to have an advantage from being at home. I am going to lay those points because of that. The Ole Miss quarterback is pretty interception heavy, but I'm hoping for a really big bounce back game here. That's the only thing I see this could possibly be a real issue. If Ole Miss comes out and plays really well and they eliminate the turnovers and they play efficiently, I think that being a 14 to 17 point game is right where this is going to be. But like I said, Ole Miss has had some trouble with the interceptions. You do a couple turnovers, if there's a pick six in there, it could be a lot closer, and those points might not do me a lot of good. Unfortunately, it might actually hurt me. So we'll see. Next up, we have Auburn going into Oklahoma. This is going to be a really, really good game. Two ranked teams. Oklahoma has really shown some great stuff this year. Auburn, kind of sneaky, has been in there, having some good games as well. Right now, I'm going to actually take Auburn plus the 6.5. These are two sneaky good teams. They thrive on different parts of the offense. Auburn is rushing the ball out of their mind right now. Oklahoma is more of an air it out team, and they're excellent at that. I think that these teams don't really line up against each other very well. But when it comes to the outcome of the game, I think that because Auburn is so run heavy and they're so good at controlling that aspect, I think it's going to be close. And so I'm going to take those points that they're giving me. Regardless of who wins, I do think it's going to be down to the wire. So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a really good game. Next up, we have Purdue going into Notre Dame. Purdue plus the 25.5. I'm actually going to take the 25.5. I love Notre Dame. I hate their schedule so far this year. They have played 2 really tough games, which on one hand kind of gets you ready for the season. And I mean, it does kind of throw you into the fire. And sometimes that's when you can be your best, is when you have to learn under pressure and on the go. However, it's hard having 2 losses like that back-to-back, especially last week. It was a heartbreaker. It was an absolute heartbreaker. I do think they're going to come out and play really well. But I think that Purdue has actually had some really good games this year. I know it's against lesser competition, but the 25.5 I think is just a little too much. I think this could easily be like a 42-20 game, and that's why I'm going to take the points. But I'm hoping Notre Dame can really bounce back here, get some confidence, get a win under the belt, and then chain reaction, because they're going to have a tougher schedule, I'm sure. I'm sure they're going to, have a lot tougher games than, especially if they make it into the playoffs. They're going to want to be able to build this up. They just faced 2 teams that they would likely see in the playoffs if somehow they snuck in. It didn't go so well. So we'll see how that is. Next up, we have Temple going into Georgia Tech. I'm going to take Georgia Tech minus the 22.5. The line makes me pretty nervous. I truly believe that this will be a 24-point differential when it's all said and done. Georgia Tech is coming off a huge win against Clemson. Georgia Tech is one of those sneaky good teams that just not a lot of people believe in or know, and they play really well and they play really tough. Even dating back to last year, they play really tough. This is a great ball club. I think they do just so well playing against top elite competition. Even if they don't win, it seems like they're always in it, So when it comes to that point line, I'm going to take Georgia Tech minus the 22.5. I think that they're going to go up against a team like Temple. Temple has great stats, but against way lesser competition. Way lesser competition. So that might just be my opinion, but I think that Georgia is going to come out and probably win by 24-28. We will find out. South Carolina at Missouri. So this is a game I bet almost every single year, and I lose almost every single year because South Carolina is usually really tough. I'm actually going to take Missouri minus the 9.5 because, one, I'm a glutton for punishment, and I know it's going to happen again. But here's why I'm actually more confident now than I've ever been. So Missouri's having one of the best seasons I've ever seen. They're playing tough. They're blowing teams out. They're putting up ridiculous offensive numbers. They've always kind of been an SEC defense team the last few years. Now they're putting up some great offense. And I'm not super impressed with South Carolina. I'm not impressed with the Gamecocks at all. I think Mizzou's actually going to, since Mizzou's at home, I think South Carolina's going to come in, and I think that Mizzou could have a chance to win by multiple touchdowns. I mean, multiple touchdowns. Could be 2, could be 3. Small possibility for blowout here. A little bit of a blowout alert. I'm thinking. So I'm absolutely going to, lay those 9.5 points, no problem. We'll see if I miss for my 4th or 5th year in a row. I can't remember what it is now. Next up, we have Florida at Miami, and this might be my favorite bet of the week. I mean, there's not too many bets that I'm like pounding the table on, and I'm like, yes, this is the one. But I don't understand how Miami is only having to lay 8.5 points. Florida right now is having a horrific season, a start to the season. They lost to USF. They went in and played LSU last week and lost, I think, 20-10, so they're not putting up a lot of offense. Their defense is pretty solid, but they're just not able to score the ball. And now you go play a team like Miami, where Carson Beck continues to get better every single week. Every week he plays, he gets a little bit better, he gets a little bit more comfortable. I actually think this is 50-50 a blowout game. I think this could easily be 2 or 3 scores, and I'm a Gator fan. I like the Gators. They're my favorite Florida team. I think that Miami is just too good, and I've seen them be too good and just beat these great teams. There hasn't really been a tough game for Miami yet. It feels like they've just kind of skated through everything so far. I think they played USF last week and blew them out, and I think USF is a better team than most people think. I think Miami by far wins this by a couple touchdowns, if not more. That's my favorite bet of the week by far. Okay. Next up, we have Illinois going to Indiana. This is an interesting game. I love to root for Indiana, one of those kind of, schools that stays under the radar. But when it comes to Illinois, that's a team that I don't ever normally see, ranked, especially as high as they're ranked this year. So I'm rooting for Illinois. I'm hoping they're doing really well. These teams match up really well. I love the underdogs. I'm going to root for this just to be a really good game, but I think it comes down to the wire, and since you're giving me 6.5 points with Illinois, I'm just going to take them. So we'll see. Georgia State is going into Vanderbilt. Georgia State's not off to a great start. Definitely one of the bottom tier teams, I would call, based on who they've played and how the outcomes have been. There's still a lot of season left, but Vanderbilt's got a good squad. I hate giving up 27.5. I hate the line, but Vanderbilt has looked really great. They're getting fantastic quarterback play. Georgia State just looks too bad, and I think Vanderbilt's looking a lot better than I expected them to be, and so because of that, and being at home, I don't like the line. But I'm going to go ahead and go with Vanderbilt. We'll see how it turns out. We have Sam Houston State going to Texas. Now, this is very interesting for me. It's 39.5 points, which Texas has not covered in any of the games. They've played 2 tomato cans, UTEP, and there was another one I forget at the moment. Please forgive me. They have not played very well. Arch Manning, there's been a lot of talk about him. What's going on with the mechanics? Why is he struggling? Now, Texas does have some time to figure it out, but it's running out of time. This is pretty much it. After this game against Sam Houston State, which, let's be honest, this is the last tomato can they're going to see of the year, this is what Texas's schedule looks like going forward. And as you can see, it's really, really rough. I mean, we're talking Florida, Oklahoma, Kentucky. I mean, look at all the ranked teams. There's some sneaky teams in there. The Razorbacks are always like a really good SEC defense team. I don't consider them a tomato can. I know they're not elite. When I look at this schedule, this is it. You got to figure it out now. There's no more, oh, hey, we beat Southern Illinois, Western Kentucky, Omaha Junior College. We beat them 20-10. There's no more of that. You have to blow a team out. You're supposed to be the number one team in the nation. That's what you were ranked coming into the season. You're supposed to be the best. You're supposed to be the favorite to win it all. If you can't come out against Sam Houston State and put up at least a 40-point victory or more, I'm going to be out on Arch Manning. I have to be. And I understand that might be a little unfair. You might be like, well, Nick, come on, 40 points, really? I expect it at this point. You're supposed to be the best team in the nation. And either you're admitting to me that you aren't, or you're saying, well, it's still some time to figure it out. They might pull whatever. Excuses. I don't want them. I need 40 points or more from Arch Manning. I just do, because that schedule gets so tough. If they can't at least lay the 40 here, they have no shot at getting in the playoffs. They just don't. They're going to get run over in the rest of the season. That's just my opinion. So now is the time. It's now or never. It's crunch time. It's time for Arch to prove that he can figure this out, and for that internal clock to go off and say, okay, I've had time to experiment. No, it's time to let it loose, and we'll see how it goes. So sneaky good game, despite the fact that it's a tomato can. It's going to be eye-opening for me. I'm definitely going to be watching it. It might be on a smaller TV, but I'll be watching it. Michigan State going into USC. I'm actually going to take Michigan State plus 18.5. I know that USC is supposedly really good, but I'm still unsure exactly how good they are. They've played bottom-tier schools. I haven't seen them play anyone significant. When it comes to Michigan State, I think they're a little bit underrated as a team. They're one of those defense, run-heavy teams that is more about controlling the clock, controlling the game. And I still think the USC wins hands down, but it could be a 17-point game. And that's what I'm thinking it'll be, is around a 14 to 17-point game, and that's why I'm going to take the 18.5, 1,000%. So that's my bets for tomorrow. We have a great slate of college games tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Definitely tune in. Tomorrow, probably either tomorrow night or Sunday morning, I'll come on here and we'll go through and see how good I did. Hopefully, at least I'll have one. I'm 0 for 4 right now, on the pick 'em and on the bets. But hopefully tomorrow will be a really good day. I know it's going to be. And then I'll also tomorrow have my picks for football as well. So I'll have to do it tomorrow because I'm going to have my NFL picks for Sunday, and we're going to do the same exact thing. And then next week, we dive into a bunch of stuff like my top 10s, top 10 teams in this and in baseball and football and college football and all that good stuff. So, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you being here with me. Feel free to leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you're a fan of any of these teams and you have any insider information you can give me and the other fellow watchers, please do. Don't hold that information in. I want to know. Come on now. See you guys soon. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.